and I can see the agenda on your phone.
Good evening and welcome everyone. We are live.
Everybody ready? It's ready to report? Okay. So welcome to our June 25th Board of Directors meeting. Hope everybody's doing well and trying their best to navigate through this pandemic, as we all are trying to. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The termination of forum, we have Greg Griffin, our treasurer, Jane Wilcox, our director, Mark Orchard, our director, Troy Burley, our vice president and secretary, Jennifer Tours, our property manager, and myself, president of the board. Sorry. Has anyone had a chance to take a look at the meeting minutes from the last meeting that we had?
Yes. Yes, as provided. So I make a motion that we waive the meeting minutes from the previous meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Nobody opposed.
Vote to accept.
I'd like to call a vote to accept.
So moved.
Yes.
We need it.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Jane? Aye. Right?
Yes.
Right.
Roll call.
Next item we have is the financial report from Greg Griffin.
All right, so as of the end of May, our monthly income was $58,984. Our monthly expense was $63,672, with a month deficit of $4,688. Now, you take into year to date, our income has been $298,892, and expense $2,089. Wait a minute, let me say that again. $289,566, which leaves us with a year-to-date surplus of $9,326. So financially, we're doing well, despite the pandemic.
Sorry to interrupt. We appreciate social distancing and wearing a mask.
We can't.
However, we cannot understand you. If you just remove the mask when you're speaking and then replace it, that would be wonderful.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody here, Robert said remove your mask as you're talking so people can hear you speak.
So, because people didn't hear, let me quickly go over those figures again. Income for the month of May, $58,984. Expense, $63,672. A loss of $4,688. But the total year to date through January 1st, income $298,892. Expense $289,566. Year to date surplus $9,326. In the reserves, we have currently as of the end of May, 828,000. 46. That is down approximately 26,000 because of the pool project. The pool developed leaks and required a lot of work, and that is the reason for the difference in the reserve. So currently $828,000 in reserves. So I want to take this opportunity because a lot of information has been going out, a lot of questions have been coming in, and since this is the financial report, I thought it would be a good point. We have a graph that is going to be coming up, which basically gives you the breakdown of what the operating budget consists of. We have a lot of questions that say, I pay $350 a month. Why can't these things, these projects be completed? Because in that graph, as you can see now on screen, that $350 is divided into 8 different categories. Insurance, which makes up 12, I think. Scoot over here. 27%. Utilities, which is our water, electricity. Remember, water that you use is paid through the association, is 16% of that budget. Contracts, which is our landscaping and our pool contracts and our that's another 18%. Our cost for the property management, the salaries, the benefits, that's 27%. And the repairs, which we all are anxious to see done, makes up 14% of that budget. Reserves, money that goes in each month, is 4%, and administration is 7%. So when you think of what your monthly assessment is, understand that the operating budget, only a small portion of that actually goes to repairs. That's important. The repairs that we're talking about usually come from reserves because they're so massive. That is preventive maintenance. Those are things that happen. That's what those are. We tweak that budget to put a little bit more into our repairs in the 2020 budget, but understanding how that all works is important, and I hope that answers some of your questions. One last thing, a lot of people have voiced concern about, in this pandemic, in this financial crisis, are people keeping up with their monthly assessments? And I'm happy to say, yes. Let me go through a few numbers, and they may be a little shocking. This is nothing new. We've talked about this in the last board term and this current board term. We have right now outstanding in what we call condo fees of $102,000. $96,000 is something that's already been, that goes way back, it's been in collection. There's 5 owners involved in that. It is a combination of past dues that go back quite a ways, legal fees, interest, vice versa. The new debt of people who may have been falling a little behind because of unemployment, because of the pandemic, is $6,000. That also involves 5 owners. 4 of those owners have reached out to Jennifer. They've made payments. 1 has not reached out to Jennifer. That's something that we strongly urge if you are having difficulty paying your dues, to reach out to the management to see if there's anything that we can help. We're going to talk about the end of our last forgiving of a waiving of late fees and insurance a little bit later, but that's where we stand. That's where we stand. Whether or not a few months down the road, if people are on unemployment and we don't know your business, we don't know who's working and who isn't, neither is it any of our business. But if things change with the CARE Act and all that, we'll have to watch that carefully in the next couple of months as this unprecedented time continues to unfold in front of us. And unless there are any questions from the board, I submit my report.
Any questions? Any questions from the board? No. Thank you, Greg, for giving us an excellent financial reports.
You're welcome.
The next item on the agenda is a board report, board of directors report that Troy is going to provide to us.
Okay, over the last month, we've been doing a lot of projects around the complex. We had a water main break on Burning Tree that we had to fix, so we took care of that. Had to take care of a few other things, minor things. We've got a roof repair going on right now on Indian Creek. You probably see the dumpster out there and the guys working. It is an exploratory roof repair. So when we get to the actual improvement project, we will understand fully what we're dealing with the roofs. And at this point, it doesn't look promising, just by all the stuff that we've found already. And we're going to discuss a bunch of other topics that we've been working on later on. So that's pretty much it for right now.
Okay, so do we want to let people know that leak that happened on Burning Tree?
It was an emergency repair.
Right, so we discovered how much water was going out.
Oh, yeah, there was, we estimated that 50,000 gallons went out of that during the course of fixing it. It was a gallon a minute that was poured out of that pipe. So, quite a bit of water.
Okay. Good information. I'm looking forward to getting your report from the roof repair so we can see exactly how that's going on.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Good information, good information. Anybody else have anything to add to the board, director's report? Any observations? Okay. Next item is going to be a management report from Jennifer.
Let's see. Well, Greg already gave us an excellent financial picture, so I don't need to read off those figures to you again. One of the variances that came up this month was water sewer bill, which is about $1,300 off normal. So that's probably where the cost came from, was that pipe burst. So, and we've already discussed the collections, the status of the collections, which are actually in not terribly bad shape considering. I've devoted the majority of my time over this last 30 days to gathering information and bids and writing documents to help the community understand what's going on. I've established a drive, a folder in the Google Drive that the residents have access to. I'm going to share that with the community again tomorrow. There's quite a bit of data in there as we get bids, the engineering report, photographs of the exploratory roof work, of course, our budget and financials, so that all of that is available to them. As we do our research to help the community understand what we have to do next, I want us to have a vehicle to share all of that data. Some of the items that we have to share, such as the engineering report, is too large to either email or load into the Resident Connect portal, which is their normal online portal, which is why I created the Google Drive for them, so that we're able to create this one large folder where any of the residents at any time can go and see all the research that we're doing for them. So some of it overlaps with what's already available in the Google Drive, but if they're able to access both, then I'm going to encourage everyone who is not already registered for the resident portal to get registered for that too, because there may be some background documentation in the resident portal that isn't in the Google Drive, but I'll make sure that it's as complete as possible. Because we've tentatively scheduled the town hall meeting for July 30th, all of my work over the next 30 days is going to be helping the board prepare for that. Trying to get the experts here to talk to residents as much as possible, and try to make sure that all of the data we have is shared with the community too. So that's pretty much the focus of all my activities.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer, for that report, for the manager's report. The next item we have is old business. The first item on that is the late fee and collection waivers. I know that we approved to waive the fees and collection fees for April, May, and June, so we're at the end of that period, and we have to consider what we want to do moving forward as far as collection and waiving of the late fees.
And point for discussion, that's really all that we can do. This is a nonprofit organization. We don't have the ability financially, or I think as a board, to automatically lower the monthly assessments, because, you know, the budget is, we take in this much, we spend out that much.
Right.
But we can consider the late fees and the assessment. And I'm thinking, because we're still in this financial, that we might want to consider extending that a month or two.
Okay, what is the feeling of everybody else about extending it for another month or two?
I think it's a good idea. Yeah, I think it would help people with this. It's not like we're recovering, you know, automatically, you know, everyone's back to work, so.
Yes, but, okay, Jane, yours?
I wouldn't have a problem with extending the allowing people not to pay late fees. I do think that a lot of people are receiving quite a lot of benefits to help. I don't know people's individual circumstances.
Right.
I do know my own friends. Some of them have said, you know what, I'm better off than I was before. So I don't really know. I wonder if that's something to take into consideration. Are we able, or would there even be an individual basis that we could look at where somebody really has a real hardship and could talk it over? I don't know. I'd like to be able to help people in real need, but I want to avoid soaking away money from the association that's not necessary.
Right, so in looking at the income for the last month or so, I think it has come to our attention that some people have taken advantage of the fact that they're not getting late fees and have not. I mean, Greg, in that financial report, the ones, the new debts that are coming out since this pandemic has basically started, I mean, have we heard from them? The people who have not, the new debts that have just showed up?
Jennifer, I'll let you answer that, because they speak to you.
There are 5 accounts already at the attorney. I don't correspond with them, they deal with the attorney.
Correct.
There were, in fact, I had a detailed list of where that was at. Just in terms of observing the behavior.
Just to remind everyone to speak clearly
Sorry,
and
I'm really.
speak towards the camera. Thank you.
Okay, here it is. Okay, in terms of any new behavior, there wasn't any observable wave of behavior. It was, I only observed one individual in particular who appeared to just stop paying completely when the late fees were suspended. I don't know what their circumstances are. I have not spoken to that household. They have not reached out to me. For the most part, there were only 14 owners with a tiny little balance of a couple of bucks here, just stuff to sort out, not a big deal. 6 unit owners who owe less than 1 month's fees. So that's just something that they can work out on their own, and they're fine, and they continue to pay for the most part. 5 unit owners who are 90 days past due, and only one of those is a new person. The other ones are sort of chronic. Sometimes they pay it off, sometimes they get behind, sometimes they get caught up again, and they go back and forth. But only one of those individuals is a new person, and the remaining 5, of course, are the ones who are already at the attorney. So based on what I've observed, everyone is really making an effort to continue making their fees payments as they did before, which is awesome, because I know that it's another bill, and I know that some folks may or may not be out of work. So we're a very small association. We operate on a very, very small margin. So I have to give everybody here a lot of credit for continuing to fund the association and make sure that we can meet all of our expenses. But so far, I've only observed one unit owner who just basically stopped paying. And that's out of 160, so that's not bad.
Troy, but not schools.
I'm fine with, extending it at least another month, if not two. I think really we should do month by month and reevaluate each month as we go along.
Maybe at some point we, give like, okay, 2 or 3 months for a particular owner, that's all you get, is the late, no late fees. Well, at a particular time, you know.
It's gotta be everybody or nobody, you know, it should be across the board.
Well, it would be for everybody. When you get 2 months or 3 months, and those are your free late fees. Just an idea.
I do recall that we have the rule in place that if this is the first time you're late, that automatically gets waived by the property management.
I think you all gave the property manager the prerogative of a one-time late fee waiver, which is kind of standard across all associations. You know, things happen. You forget that the cable bill is coming out of your account or whatever, so it happens. So a one-time late fee waiver, but that's done on a case-by-case basis. And it's a single form that I send across to the accounts receivable department to remove that fee. It's a lot of paperwork to do it on a one-off thing, you know, under the circumstances of this.
So I think we're all agreed, so we want to extend it, now for a long, 1 month, 2 months, what?
Okay, I'd like to call for a motion to extend the late fees and collection waivers for 2 months, for the next 2 months, which will be June and will be July and August. And we can assess where we are at the end of August to see if we're gonna continue waivering it or not.
So,
All in favor? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion has been moved. The next item on our list is concerning the amenities, the pools and the tennis courts that we have not been able to use since the pandemic has started. It's been, comments have been gone back and forth. Everybody is adamant that they want to use the pool, but we're all kind of in a funny situation trying to figure out if we want to open up ourselves to that liability, or do we want to allow people to use the pool, or continue closing them until we get clearance from basically the CDC and the health department. I mean, I know some of our neighboring complexes around us, some of them are open, but not all of them. Right. I mean, some of them, I think there's one down the street, they have a temporary fencing around the actual pool itself. You can get into the pool area, but you can't get into the pool.
Summer camp is not open either.
Right.
I've talked to that manager a couple of times.
Then if we could discuss, our lawyer, that would be,
we cannot give you the ones. We
Yes.
cannot give you the ones.
yeah, I know. I wouldn't, talking to the general public.
You need to.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, so we had a conversation with our lawyer yesterday. We had a conference call with him, and our lawyer has basically said not to open him up. That the liability is too great for us. We're a small community, and if somebody were happen to catch COVID-19 and then possibly give it to somebody else in their household or to somebody at work or whatever, and it was traced back to our pool, then, you know, Cypress Woods would be liable, and we could have a lawsuit on our hands. We don't have enough reserves to fight something like that. So he pretty much said, you know, it kind of sucks that we can't open it, but to be on the safe side, it's much better not to open it up than it is to open it. there was just too many liability factors involved to open it. And there's no way to really police it or clean it or do any of that stuff because we don't have the manpower or the money to do that. So,
It's not all about the bathroom, it's about the bathrooms as well, correct?
correct the bathrooms and making sure the pool and the railings and all that stuff can get clean hourly. We aren't staffed for it, and nor do we have the money to staff.
Just as a side note, I did speak with several cleaning services. They're all so slammed that none of them were able to get to us more than once per day. So if we were to open the pool, they would only be able to come at closing and clean. It would not be cleaned throughout the day.
Right.
So
It sounds like we have no choice.
Well, I think, first of all, I would be happier if we were heading towards phase 3 of the state of Florida's opening, but we're into,
We're stuck.
and the numbers are rising, and I don't want to get into this whole thing about the numbers and more testing or this or that. That concerns me. If we agree, and I'm only one person on this board, to open the pools, here's what I would need to see. First of all, because we have no bathroom facilities, no restroom facilities in this building, the staff have to use the restroom that is connected to the pool of the clubhouse. So basically, the clubhouse pool right now is out of the picture, in my opinion.
Right.
In my thinking this through. So that would leave, and I call it the Pine Creek pool, I don't know what I really call it, but the second pool over near Pine Creek, which would have bathrooms exclusively used for the pool. Yeah, the lawyer said, these are basic, you need to follow CDC regulations, which our local health department also would make sure that we do. But it would have to be for residents only. That means you can't bring in, your nieces and nephews that live on the other side of Florida. You can't have the birthday party here. You can't bring in friends. It's for residents only. So something we have to figure out how that would work. No pool furniture whatsoever would be in there. I would insist on signage that says that the association is not responsible for the contact of COVID-19, and you do so at your own risk. I would even want to waive, which the lawyer also said. Now again, that only protects that one particular person. If that person passes the disease on to someone else, that won't hold up in court because that person didn't sign the waiver. And we would need someone to monitor that. Someone to, whatever system that we use, that there are residents coming in, that the bathrooms were cleaned on a regular basis, that people were staying 6 feet apart. It would have to be at half capacity, whatever the pool license is in that pool. So we'd have to allocate money to hire this person, whether it be a firm, whether it be a person. And I can't foresee us hiring a person to keep pools open what they were. I mean, I could foresee in a trial basis, maybe opening it up on the weekends if this person or firm was available.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Keep in mind that this person is putting themselves at risk too.
Well, yes, absolutely. So that's where we have to get to open up the pools and the tennis court. And that's just my thinking of what that would be the minimum that I'd have to see to vote to open up the pools at this point in time.
I completely agree with everything that you're saying, but because we don't have the resources right now to allocate to doing that, my vote would be not to open the pools for right now, honestly, until we can actually see a way of actually getting that done.
And making sure you're safe, yes, correct.
I mean, we don't want to take a chance of somebody in our community. We don't know if somebody has it now, or we don't want to take the chance of somebody getting it. I mean, just don't want that risk is just a little too high right now, especially with these numbers climbing up.
And I wanted to add that it was a good idea too, that someone had suggested that we do it by appointment. That doesn't negate everything that I just said, because you still have to make sure when your appointment is done, that the restroom was clean and everything was cleaned up. So you still have to have that person doing that. Good idea. I said, oh, that's enough.
Okay, so I would like to call a motion to not open the pools up until we can see a safe way of actually working on the logistics to have the pools open.
I make a motion that due to the current situation that the amenities remain closed and is revisited on a regular basis.
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right. New business. The discussion of the commercial and residential.
That's it.
Yes.
I forgot C. Ratify.
Ratify approval.
Oh, sorry. Old business, we need to ratify the approval of sales and leases for new occupant applications. Currently, we have for sales 5301 Indian Creek, 5322 Pebble Beach, 5341 Indian Creek. Pending sales 5333 Indian Creek, 5323 Indian Creek. Leases for approval, 5337 Indian Creek, 5332 Burning Tree, and 5348 Burning Tree. Those are the ones that we have to ratify the sales and occupancy for.
And just point of order, Jennifer, you can answer this. All sales go through the, what do you call that last step?
The
Estoppel.
estoppel, yes,
Which
they all go through
clearly
the estoppel.
states of what possibly could happen at Cypress Woods.
Yes, in fact, the language in the section, for the resale department where they would provide an estoppel certificate, was provided to us by the attorney. So that it's appropriate and clear.
And again, that's not to upset anyone, it is the law that we make that information known.
The disclosure.
Owners, that's your business if you want to sell, but just so it's clear that there is a last step
That has to be done.
that has to be done
We
by
have
law.
to, it's our duty to make sure that's there.
Having heard that, I make a motion that we accept.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That we approve all ratification of occupant applications.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
On to new business. The discussion of the commercial and residential appraisals bids that we have received. As we are moving forward with getting the research information for this capital improvement project, we would like to know exactly how much our properties, our buildings are the property that we all share is worth. So we wanted to engage some appraisers to basically find out exactly how much is our properties worth. I think we have, one is Gardner Consulting Services. The other one is Meridian Appraisal Group. And then the third one is Commercial Investment Appraisers.
And these are for the overall property?
This is for the property itself, yes.
Property.
Looking at the three bids we have in front of us, the one that looks most affordable to us would be the Commercial Investment Appraisers. Coming in at about $1,800.
Yes.
Gardner Consulting is coming in at around $3,800. And Meridian Appraisal Group is asking for $3,500. Anybody have any questions about these three that we've been looking at?
No,
These two are pretty close, so this one is far lower.
yeah, I say we go with commercial.
Commercial investments.
Well, and I think there was some conversation that, and correct me if I'm wrong, let's go to commercial, but they have the best understanding of
Our property.
our property and what
Yeah, our situation.
our situation. So that's important.
Yeah, based on the conversations that I had with each of these three individuals, commercial, the commercial company, he understood instantly what I was talking about and what we were looking for. So I felt most comfortable of the three. So I was pleasantly surprised when he sent back a bid for only $1,800 because he was certainly my favorite just talking with him. So.
Okay, I'd like to call for a motion to select commercial investment appraisers to handle the property appraisal for Cypress Woods. Motion.
So moved. Feel free to jump in anytime.
Yeah.
That's all the verbiage.
You have the verbiage down, so we just.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay,
so,
so,
let's hold up on that. If we could just, because the sound was a little muffled, we need to just announce the cost of the two, of the three one more time.
okay,
I don't think that's gonna change maybe the board's
No.
decision, but just for clarity, please,
okay.
nice and
Please.
So commercial investment appraisers is coming in at around $1,800. Meridian Appraisal Group is asking for $3,500. And Gardner Consulting Services is asking for $3,800. Out of the three, commercial investment appraisers is most feasible and we're most comfortable with them. All in favor?
We're trying.
It's fine, yeah, I'll do this. Okay, so the other part of this, of that particular item is dealing with the residential appraisal bids, correct? And I think Jennifer, we had an appraiser who had been out here, basically when people do sales, so he's familiar with our buildings. He knows exactly, he's been here quite a few times, I think he's done at least, 10 or 12 units. So,
I was able to get in touch with a gentleman from Sunbelt Appraisals who has done multiple appraisals in this community. He's done at least a dozen or so and already has a template to provide us with a fair market appraisal of one of each of the floor plans in the community. So it was our idea to have not only a commercial appraisal of what the entire parcel would be worth, with or without structures, but also to have an appraisal of what each of the floor plans might be worth. And because this young man has been doing appraisals in this community for some time and already had these templates, he would be able to provide us with a generalized fair market value of appraisal of one of each of their floor plans. So I was able to negotiate a much more discounted price from them. I'm just waiting for him to send that back to us now.
Okay. Sounds fair. Reasonable to do.
That way we have an appraisal that looks at the community in two different ways.
Right.
So, because we've only been sort of guessing what things might be worth. In the event we had to go down the road for termination, we were trying to sort of guesstimate what things might be worth. This would give us a much more clear picture of what that is for what we expect.
Okay, so we can look at that information when that comes in as far as the residential appraisers.
Yes, hopefully we'll have answers back from the Sunbelt appraisers within a week or two.
Okay,
So that's information that I'll be able to upload to the Google shared drive that we have for the community. So they'll be able to see it at the same time that we see it.
got it. Good information to share. Okay, anybody have any questions or comments to that? Right. Troy?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we'll move on to discussion of demolition of the condemned Pine Creek carport. Now, it's been sitting there for over a year now. I think, 2 years? No, yeah, well.
Anyways,
All right, so we know that this is still an eyesore for the community, and it's sitting in a very public area of the community. This is right off of Conroy Road. And the residents have not been able to use those spots in the carport. So I know when we started looking at the carport, there was question of, can it be salvaged, can we repair it, does it need to come down? So I'm happy to say that when we got Thomas to come in, the engineer who's doing the work for us, he was able to say, that your best bet is to take it down. I mean, and the cost, honestly, the cost of, like I said, the cost of taking it down, it's almost the same cost as putting it back up. But like I said, we haven't gotten to the decision on what we're gonna do with the carports or what we're gonna do with our project. But in the meantime, the building is still sitting there and it's still an eyesore, and the owners are not able to use their spots that they're assigned to. And they promised to have a covered spot and also an open spot. Now, granted, you take the carport down, you still have 2 spots, but one will not be covered. I know we've made the adjustments of giving them the guest spots, and assigning them the spots to use. But that also now takes away from the guest parking, which we already had an issue with even before that. So we need to make a decision. Are we actually going to take it down? Or are we going to let it sit where it is? I'm looking at 2 bids or 2 estimates. One from All Construction and Engineering that's coming in at $7,571. And the other one is from Crown Cleaning Repairs that's coming in at $8,981. Those are the 2 bids that we have for right now. I know that's a little bit of money, but we need to figure out exactly what we're gonna do with that particular structure.
And they both state here that they will cap all electrical removal debris, contractors supply dumpsters.
Yeah.
so,
That's on both of them.
do you wanna talk about what we talked about? Have the electrical, have a pole put in, and then have electrical, we can put a light over there.
Well, yeah, we can bring that up here.
Okay. So, we had discussed, as we tear this down, to put a pole up, so we could put, a floodlight up there, so we can light that area and light that, dumpster better. And maybe put a security camera there so we can keep tabs on who's dumping all that stuff over there, and kind of catch all of that stuff. So, because there's really no light over there, there's no, there's no security or anything. So if we tore that down, we put a pole and took the electrical from that carport and just put it up the pole, so we could put a light and stuff over there as well. So we want to throw that idea out there as well.
Now, I want to also add this in, if we decide to take that carport down, want to make sure that those, those stoppers that prevents the car from going forward are in place, or, because if that carport is not there and somebody decides to go to the floor, and have to go straight into that lake that's not there.
Yeah, so we'll be there.
Right.
We could certainly ask whoever we hire to do that work to, I believe there are stops there, but if there aren't, we can make sure that they put something at least of the same kind, or maybe even something larger. Because, we've all forgotten to put it in park.
No, there's stoppers there, I'm talking
There are
about,
stoppers.
yes, stoppers there, I'm talking about if the structure comes down.
Right.
Yes, a stopper there is gonna stop you to a point, but if you keep going, you're gonna keep going.
That's true.
Right, it's basically a speed bump, but it's not concrete, it's wood.
What do you think? Do you have any ideas that we can have if we allow one of these contractors to do that? Do you have any ideas that might, we can have one of those, what's the word for those things?
Reflective,
Well, we could put reflective poles, but something that would actually stop the car would be one of those concrete.
The concrete field pole that they have in front of businesses.
Right, exactly, to keep you from, or even the metal kind that would keep you from driving into their storefronts or what have you.
okay, so that's if we decide to do that, we still haven't figured out if we're gonna do it or not.
So we've had a lot of comments that say, why are we wasting the money to take it down? And one of the reasons I would say why we want to take it down is because it's an eyesore, and if the city of Orlando is driving by and happens to see that it's condemned, which they might have already or might not have, and decide to stop in and then start checking our buildings and stuff, then we could be in very big trouble. So,
Because it's not just that they're gonna see, they're gonna start seeing a lot of other things, which is open up another can of worms that we really don't need to deal with right now.
correct. So the more things that we can take away that are not pleasing to the eye, or that we've already condemned, or anything of that nature, will only help our case. So yes, I would recommend taking it down.
Plus, I think the biggest thing also with that is we owe these owners a parking spot.
Correct.
Okay, and I also wanna add my piece in, like, for instance, we got reinforcement from the lawyer yesterday, saying, regardless of what we do, what we decide to do as a community, until that decision is made, we as a board have to do our due diligence of taking care of the property. Us putting up caution signs, us putting up, the 2x4s to stop you. It's just sitting there, and we don't wanna do what the predecessors have done, which is basically put a Band-Aid on it, or it's just ignored. We need to do something needs to be done.
Liability.
I mean, it's really bad, you can walk to the back of that thing and just poke your finger through the. Is that wrong?
Well, I think Mark makes a good point too, is that it is a liability, it's a condemned structure. And just because there are boards across the front of it doesn't mean an owner might or a guest, or
Or a kid.
someone
or a
visiting,
child,
or a
yes.
child, someone on the property visiting, could be harmed. This is a contempt structure.
People that don't live here walk through our property all the time,
So it's
see it
kind of
every day.
Yeah, because it's open property, there's no,
very.
barrier to stop them from getting in and out.
Mhm.
And if we take this down, we would have a savings in the capital project, because that's one less you have to take down.
That's true, that's correct.
So right now,
So, Jennifer, you make an excellent point. That there alone is the deciding factor for me, that it has to come down. It is dangerous, I know it's been up there for a while, but, you know, we're openly discussing it now. I would hate to see anyone get hurt
Mhm.
with that.
Right.
And that would cause all sorts of liability issues as well, so, yes, I would support removing that structure.
Jane?
Yeah, I support removing it.
okay. So I'd like to call for motion to remove the condemned, carport that's on Pine Creek Drive.
So moved.
Now, also in that, I'd like to also decide on which company,
Well, let's do them separate. Let's do two motions.
okay,
So,
okay,
so yes, to answer your question, yes, the carport, once we take it down, those parking spots will be used by the owners who have those parking spots,
assign
yes.
to the, yes.
So the motion,
Okay, sorry.
I believe, is on the table to remove.
The carport, yes.
All in favor?
In selecting the contractor to do the job, like I said before, I mentioned earlier, one was all construction and engineering, coming at $7,571. The second one was crown cleaning repairs, which is coming at $8,980. I would like to move forward with the all construction and engineering, estimate. So I'd like to call for a motion to select all construction and engineering corp to do the job of removing that carport. Pine Creek.
So moved. Anyone else could do that? Don't be
All in
shy.
favor?
Aye.
And then if we want to do the electrical and the pole with the light and stuff, we'd be willing to,
We will have to talk to the vendor about, of that, because that will definitely change the price of the estimate, because that's added work to be done.
And
if.
the motion only allows the demolition.
Correct.
Okay? New business, mandatory use of mask in property in accordance with the Orange County office closures.
Orange County mandate.
So I was coming back, okay. Why we have to make a motion on this one? Trying to figure out why it's,
We don't, it's just,
We're private property.
oh, right.
yeah, for people who don't know, I mean, I'm sure everybody probably knows by now that the Orange County has put out a mandatory mask use when you're out in public. So that's all that is, make sure you're using a mask out in public, especially when you're in the store, grocery store, shopping, whatever. So that's what that's saying, is there is now a mandatory mask you must wear out in public.
So are we asking for a motion? For what?
I don't think we.
I don't know.
I don't feel the need to make a motion on that.
Just
That's,
a PSA.
I mean,
No, so
I think,
directly
speak
from our
speak for myself, but probably all the board, we expect people to follow laws of our county and community.
okay, so I'd like to make a motion to make sure that everybody is supposed to, it is in adherence to wearing the mask.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, aye. There you go.
All right, the discussion of the upcoming roof racking project, advisory of removal of satellite dishes and plants to protect them from damage. As we have explored the idea of shrink wrapping our roofs, there will be, if we decide to move forward with that option, there will be equipment on the property that will damage the plants that we are not taking the liability of. And the satellite dishes have never been approved, as far as I know, to be put on the buildings or put on the roofs, so they will have to come down in order for that project to be successful.
Just state that they can't go back up.
No, they can't go back, but there's nothing in our documents that says that anybody's been given permission to even put them up in the first place, so. Any services that you, go ahead, Jennifer.
Well, just to say that not only that, but the process of shrink wrapping, I'll provide a video to the community this afternoon. The process of shrink wrapping will prevent anything from being attached to the roof or walls afterward. So the dishes will simply have to come down off the buildings, period, and not be
Discussion.
Well, do you first want to introduce what we're talking about, because we have the video show?
Oh,
Okay, so this, how much want to do that?
What was shrink wrapping? So the shrink wrapping is basically, we're gonna watertight the, all the buildings, all of the roofs. And so what it is, it's kind of like a, it's a plastic material that they put on the roof, and they have a heat gun, and they shrink wrap it, and it's just like any other shrink wrapping you've seen, where it adheres, it becomes watertight to the building. It's a lot less money to do the whole facility instead of, redoing all the roofs. This will give us a 1-year guarantee of no leaks, no water intrusion, but it is rated for up to 2 years. So we have 1 year of, if anything happens within that 1 year where a hole happens to take place or something, they will come out and repair it for free. So it does give us 2 years. It gives us longevity as far as if we're going to do the capital improvement project or if we're not. It makes sure everybody goes through the hurricane season and probably into next year to keep their stuff dry. Even if we start the capital improvement project, we want to do this because the capital improvement project is going to start for later in the year. Not only that, but by the time we get to the last buildings, it'll be 1.5 years from now. So we want to make sure all of those buildings are watertight during those periods. So
Let's run the video so you can actually see what Troy is talking about.
yeah, what this looks like.
See this?
Wow, so this tree really grew inside.
So,
Okay,
Because there's a bunch of people on the conference call. I was the key.
okay, all right.
And this would be paid for how?
This will be paid for through the reserves.
Through the reserves.
Correct. What should the street trout roofs look like? They're gonna look like exactly the video. They're going to be white. It's gonna be orange, like the last building that you saw in the video. It's going to be orange. That's what they're gonna look like. Possibly not. It depends on how fast everything goes, whether we leave within a year or not. We would rather do the work now and have everything covered because we have no clue how long this process is going to take. So,
Repeat the question for those who.
yeah, okay. So the question was, is it worth doing the roof seal if we're going to leave within a year? But we don't know how long this process is going to take. So, I mean, it could be a year and a half. So that's why we want to do this project now. Hurricane season is here, so yeah.
Also keep in mind, a lot of the community members have been dealing with leaks for quite some time. It's not like these leaks just showed up. They've been here for a number of years. So doing this step will at least relieve them for at least a year or two. I mean, do we want people to continue staying in their units with the water coming in on them every time it rains for another 2 years at least?
We're up to about 60 roof leaks now.
Right.
It keeps increasing.
And that number keeps increasing every time it rains because somebody new reports a new leak.
Right.
So this speaks again to what the board, the responsibility is to take care of the issues in the association. And we're trying our best to do that the best way we can.
Okay. Will it lower the appraisal value? Will it? I don't think so. I think it would increase only for the fact that we're doing something to improve the condition of the units.
Precisely.
Okay, so now let's also bring up the fact that with the insurance coverage, okay?
Correct.
Our insurance carrier has already said to us, if we don't show that we're doing something by November of this year, Cypress Woods will lose its insurance coverage. They will not cover us moving forward. We will have to be shopped for another carrier, and that insurance will quite essentially double. We're already paying over $100,000 for insurance now. Will this step in doing the street wrapping help our insurance coverage? Yes, it will. We will be insured. We will be able to show that we are doing something to improve our situation.
Okay, so there's a couple questions. Is black an option? Black is not an option. As we know, black absorbs heat, and we don't want to absorb more heat, especially in
Summertime, yeah.
And what was the other? Did you see the other question?
You're like, went by so fast.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask it again.
Can somebody ask the question again so you didn't get a chance to see it?
The last question. Did Rob catch up? The last question. If we want lower appraisal values for developers, they'll
Demolish the building.
correct, yeah. Right. For each individual owner, yes, if you were to sell your unit, it's not gonna lower your value. It's only gonna increase it due to the fact that we are doing everything possible to keep all of the units dry, and we're doing something to improve the buildings.
Not a permanent fix.
And remember, the big appraisal, the one that means the most, is the overall property. Because as Jennifer has explained in our some questions, a developer that may want to buy this property is not interested in these buildings. They're interested in the land to see what they can develop and make their own. So most likely, these buildings would be demolished if a developer were to purchase the property.
Okay. Are the contractors quoting shrink wrap separately from the capital renewal? Yes, this is something totally different from the capital improvement project. This has nothing to do with the capital improvement project. This is something that we need to do to watertight our buildings, so people aren't using buckets in their kitchen like I am. So when it rains, you know, I don't have to have a shower inside as well as out. So that's what this is for. And seeing as the capital improvement project is not gonna start right away, this is the best thing to do to watertight everybody, so we don't have to have water damage inside of our condos until we either terminate or the capital improvement project takes place. So,
Like I said before, we have to do what we have to do to take care of the property as long as we're here. We have to do our due diligence of taking care of what is here now. We can't continue to ignore the problem. The problem is not going to go away. It's getting worse as you ignore it the more.
It's important to note too, that this would give us an opportunity for those individuals, so approximately 60 or more households who've been dealing with chronic leaks. It would give us an opportunity to clean up their unit for them and replace that drywall where we needed to, so that they could at least have a comfortable, habitable, dry unit for the meantime, until we decide, until you decide what you want to do.
Do you have any more questions?
no, we support the shrimp wrap.
All right.
We support the shrimp wrap.
How many leaks do you have?
Okay, so I'd like to propose a motion to move forward with getting this roof shrink wrapping done.
Okay, before we get to that motion, we need to discuss it. Do we have a contract? Do we have a bid?
I have his
We have a bid.
email, the engineer from this company sent me an email explaining it. This individual though, it's a patented material, so there aren't that many qualified distributors of the material, so I wasn't able to find anybody else who could do it. So we don't have extra bids. This is,
I do understand that. We're not gonna get
Right.
3 bids.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because this is a specialty,
Specialized.
specialized
right.
product. And I can
So-
accept that, but I need to know what they want to charge us.
It's all in the email in your board packet. Yeah, it's the last page in your board.
They're not going to send us
He'll send it to us, yeah. This was for the purposes of the meeting, he hadn't sent it to me yet.
I thought he was going to send.
Okay, so let's be clear, we're talking about spending $360 to get the
$360,000. $360, yeah, let's do it.
$360,000 to get the shrink wrapping done for our community. That's the estimated cost right now.
And this is our monthly meeting, and if we don't vote on that now, we'll wait another month, is that correct?
That's
Possibly.
correct.
That's possibly
Yes.
maybe for another month, or we can make the decision and ratify it at the next meeting, but this is where we're at.
We need to go.
We can also call a special meeting.
Correct.
We can also do that as well.
Which requires a longer notice, so we'd still have to wait. And it's important to note that this covers every single unit in every single building throughout the entire community. So,
Now, this doesn't cover the one that's on Indian Creek, that we do the exploratory.
No, not that one of those sections.
that's only
No.
half of his unit though, too.
Right,
It's
so
only
the other half
half.
will be done.
The other,
Correct.
yeah, the
Yes.
other half of it, so
Okay.
we'll probably end up wrapping the whole thing just as a matter of course.
Yes.
Because of the way
Okay.
that works.
That's fine. Motion is still on the table.
I have a problem without a formal contract in place. I really do. We're talking about a huge amount of money. A huge amount. I don't understand why they couldn't provide that. They knew we were.
We just got the numbers yesterday, so, and we've only just been talking about them for the last 48 hours. So this is, they're gonna send over a formal contract for us. What's important to decide now is whether or not the board is willing to go forward with this. Because we will have to wait another couple of weeks if you need to call a special meeting. And so, I mean, this is sufficient, this is in writing. This is the engineer and the general contractor who owns the firm who would be performing this service for us, and he sent this to us in writing. So what you're voting on right now is simply your intention to go forward with it. You have not signed a contract.
I'd like to call for a motion to move forward with the intention of getting this done and not wait any longer.
Motion on the table to go forward with the shrink wrap.
I second it.
All in favor?
My objection is what I already said, no.
Okay. Noted.
All right, next item on the table is the capital improvement update and open forum. At this time, we will open up the line so the community can chime in with their comments, questions, concerns.
There are several features you may want to use. All guests have been unmuted. You will now rejoin the meeting.
Okay, so the line is open for anybody on the line that wants to.
There are several features you may want to use. All guests have been unmuted. You will now rejoin the meeting.
Okay, does anybody,
Yeah. Well, I heard it's going through.
okay, does anybody on the line that has a question they want to ask? Hello? Hello? Any? Hello?
Okay, I hear someone there.
We're now discussion. Okay.
Because none of that was in your couple.
Hello, Rita.
Is somebody there?
Does anybody have a question? If you do not have a question, could you please mute your phone?
I have a question.
Yes.
My understanding was that all the restrictions was
Hello? You're breaking in and out.
Unmute the phone.
Maybe you should just take it on the phone.
Hello.
They're experiencing technical difficulties.
Okay, you want to try again with your question?
Can you call by name because we don't know who you're talking to? A person that is saying, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's like that.
Can you move
Yeah,
forward?
by name.
Can you move forward asking your question?
We don't know who's on the phone. It doesn't show up for us. You're on a speaker.
Okay, well, this is Gloria.
Okay.
The question I have is that, for my observation, that my understanding was these decisions were going to be made with input from the owners. But I see that you are making all those decisions. For example, I don't have the names, I just heard the names of these companies or what is the beef or something, it's hard sometimes to read it, to hear. But I have, on the previous minute, there was a paragraph saying, we spoke with the contractors, and we spoke with the crews who are those contractors. I have not seen any bids for example, and I think it would be good for us to see those documents and to see who are those contractors or who's getting involved in this plan of future projects. So we agree that the decisions made are correct.
Correct. We have provided a folder for the community.
Okay, no problem. So to answer your question, Gloria, we did say that we met with contractors, and we have met with the contractors. The contractors are to submit their bids to us by July the 2nd. So July the 2nd has not come around yet, so we cannot share that information until the contractors have submitted their official bids, so we can make a decision on the capital improvement. So we can't give you information.
I'm talking about the decisions that you're making today.
We're making decisions today because we have to make these decisions. We sit down and wait and wait and wait. We will not be doing exactly what the previous boards have done, which is talk about it, and not make a move. While we're sitting there making the decisions, people are sitting in their units. Every time it rains, it pours and pours and pours. Are we gonna consider and wait for the whole community to make a decision if the rain is coming down in my unit? I don't think that that's fair to anybody who's actually going through the process of having water come into their unit, waiting for a community to make a decision.
And I'd like to add to that,
But the thing is, we have not been as correct or the invited to make a decision. For example, if we want to make a decision, right now, let me speak for myself. If I want to make a decision, or they give a conversation that the company that I think is the best for us, I can do that because I don't even know who the company is, because what I have is, as Mayor saying, we met with 12 contractors, so we met with 12 whatever. I don't even know the names of those companies.
Okay, wait a minute, Gloria, wait a minute, Gloria, you're confusing two separate things. The contractors that we met with was concerning the capital improvement. The decisions that we're making right now has nothing to do with that. You're confusing the two situations. One is we as a board have to do our fiduciary duty of maintaining and doing our job of making sure that this property is maintained. That is what the decisions we're making about now. As far as what we're gonna do moving forward with the capital improvement or determination, that will be decided upon by the whole association and not by the board. So the contractors that you are asking about are for the capital improvement. We are getting those bids as of July the 2nd. That's the due date for those bids. When those bids come in, that information will be shared with every member of the association, because the members of the association will make that decision, not the board.
I'm talking about, for example, the money that is going to be paid for something at the beginning that was said, and we decided that was the company was the company that also
Okay, Gloria, the board of directors have been elected by the membership to maintain and run the association, correct? Yes or no? Yes or no?
I'm not going to answer that, go ahead.
No problem at all. So in an example you just showed, you don't want to answer a question I just asked. So there's no need for us to move forward with any more of your questions, okay? So does anybody else have a question that we can answer and they can answer questions from us?
Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you very much.
Yes, go ahead.
Very arrogant.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Are you hear me? Oh,
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so my question is that I guess we are, with the situation going on right now, of course, all the damages, loans, and all that, it seems like one of our best options is for developers to look at the property and, of course, see what the options were. Has board actually been talking to any developers right now, or just an idea that, the board thought of and, maybe we get it overcoming, or has there actually been like a discussion with potential developers already?
We are in the process of bringing developers in or bringing in real estate agents to shop us to developers.
So we're talking to agents to help us shop, but
Yes.
we haven't actually talked to a developer and they've preliminary looked at the property and are interested. We're actually trying to shop with them.
Yes, that's correct. And in the meantime, we're trying to get as much information, so when a developer does come to meet with us, we have all the information for them to make a good, educated decision. Which is why we're getting
And
appraisals.
as far as the appraisal that we're trying to get, obviously, to put a package together, is there a time frame that's thinking of, or is it, still kind of up in the air?
We are expected
If
to
you
have.
can answer this question, sorry, the audio is kind of bad.
Oh, no problem. We do apologize that the audio is not as clear, but we're trying our best to move forward with, but work with what we have to work with for right now. And all this information about the appraisals and all the information about the contractor's information, we plan to have everything done, everything to present to the community by the end of July.
Mm-hmm. And then once that's presented to us, then I'm assuming that we'll have to vote to see if that's the route to vote for, or again, we're still gonna try to get a package together. That meeting will basically be informing us of what the appraiser came up with, and then still gather more information, or then we decide on that date, okay, do we want to move forward with this, if this is the best option we have.
We're gonna do our best to have all the information for that meeting, so we can make a decision moving forward.
So it won't be a vote that day, something, it's just, I guess, information gathered still.
For right now, we're still gathering information. After our July 30th meeting, which will hopefully be an open forum where everybody will attend, we will give all the information that we have, and then right after that, we will take an exploratory vote to see the path that we are going to go down.
Right, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so there will be a vote to explore, just to see, I guess, the feel of the waters on how the owners are feeling, right?
Correct. Which way everybody wants to go, whether termination or the capital improvement project. Yes.
Okay.
But
I think that's it.
yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else on the phones that has a question?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, in regards to the shrink wrap, just so that I'm clear, the figure that was $360,000?
Yes.
And approximately, because I'm new to the community, approximately how many units are in the community?
160.
What the per unit cost is.
It's 160 units.
The square.
160 units, so
This is done by.
approximately $2,000 per unit just to keep everybody dry. Okay.
Yeah.
And warranty for 1 year. Okay. And I know that you guys are showing, now that money obviously will be coming out, is that money that's going to be coming out of reserves to take care of that? And that's not money that would be allocated from money that we would be considering for the capital improvement project, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so if the community does decide to go with the capital improvement project, those figures are based off of the estimates that we are meeting in regards to, so the decision was made to tear down the condemned,
Carport, yes.
carport?
Yes. Correct.
Okay, all right. But you guys are gonna try to negotiate it down, correct?
What do you mean
You
negotiate?
guys are gonna speak to the reprice, or you guys gonna go back and try to get it down a little bit? And the only reason I'm saying this is because I'm an architect, and I had a design build, and, we as contractors, we want to sell at 50%, from 10 to 50% more than what it's gonna actually cost for us to do it for unforeseen. And I'm sure that contractor has done the same thing, but it's a tear down, so there really isn't any unforeseen, it's really just a tear down and hauling it away. So I'm all for that, tearing that carport down, because I think it is liability for the whole community, if something gets hurt, the whole community gets sued. So I'm all for that. But I think that if we're gonna move forward, I think this is a good opportunity to go back and try to negotiate that price. Even if it's 10% down, it's only $800, but $800 that we can save is still $800 that is still sitting in our reserves. I just wanted to throw that out.
Well, but what we want to do is go back to them and ask them for the same price to put up a pole and lighting for that area, because there's no lighting over there. So we want to add a few things to it, which will compensate for that.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, as long as we get a little more money for our buck, that's exactly what I'm trying to get at. Let's try to get as much as we can. If we're gonna pay that fine, let's try to get the things that we need, so that it's safe as well.
Correct. Cool, thank you.
All right, thank you for your time. I appreciate you giving me the time to speak.
We have anybody else on the phone?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, this is the Polanco family here in Jackson Creek Lane. I just have a quick question, because there was new information that was brought up in the meeting that wasn't in the previous letters that were sent out about I already knew about the appraisal for the community that you guys are looking to do, but you guys mentioned like individual appraisals for the units, like you appraisal for the individual units. Can I get more clarification on that? Because I understand that a lot of the owners want to keep their units, and I'm one of the fortunate owners that doesn't have any leaks. I mean, for the most part, we have not had any issues in our unit in the last 5 years. But I understand that if we were to move forward with the capital management project, that is going to be a substantial increase in the monthly payments that most owners are not going to be able to afford. So even though I want to keep my unit, obviously I would not like that to work out of here and sell it, but I understand that might not be feasible. So when you guys brought out the information about the purchase of the appraisal for the individual units, I want to know, how does that come into play as far as if that could help us if we wanted to sell individually to the developer, or if the option to sell to developers has to be a community-based decision. I just don't know how the individual appraisal come into play versus the one for the entire community. I'm confused about the two.
What we're trying to do is get an appraisal value per condo type. So we're getting an overall, so a type A, a type B, a type C. What is the fair market value of each individual condo type? And that will help us with a figure when we go to a developer. We'll have an idea of what it might cost for a developer to take this over, so everybody can walk away with money if we go towards the termination route.
I'm sorry, are you recommending that the owners, when you guys put that information out on the website, contact this appraiser and have them come and appraise the individual units?
No, units. It's per unit type, so he's gonna take like a J, and there's a bunch of different J types. So he's gonna take one specific one and do a generic J, a generic A, a generic B. So it's gonna be a generic,
Okay,
so.
so if they've already done, like if they already did mine, I don't know what my unit is, but if they're on the inside. If you've already done one of those, we don't need to do more of those, done one that's good enough.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
They're not entering the questions.
Yes.
Okay, okay. And then as far as the shrink wrapping, I just want to make sure, kind of clarify, or clarification. Is that going to be for the entire community, even the ones that don't need the shrink wrap? Because it's going to have all the groups, correct?
We're doing the whole,
Just say the question first.
oh, yes,
Brief
so,
it if you can.
okay, so they're asking, if the shrink wrap is gonna be for the whole community, and yes, the shrink wrap will be for the whole community, whether you have leaks or not, because who knows, within the next year, your roof could start leaking. So we wanna protect everybody,
Okay.
yes,
Okay, thank you very much for around the question, thank you.
okay, great, thank you.
Anybody else got a question? That's on the phone line?
Okay.
No, all right, good.
When I have another question, if I'm the owner is not, going to say, have another question. Nobody else? My question is, why is it that, who is responsible to figure out the HOAs that each unit pays?
That's already been established when the association was formed in the development documentation. That's already set in stone.
So the question was, who is responsible for developing the HOP ratios per unit? And the answer was, those are in the original documents when the association was formed.
Right, and those cannot be
Well,
changed.
what happens is that, my unit is a small unit, and I am paying more HOA fees than units that are in townhomes and have 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, or 3 bedrooms and 1.5 bathrooms.
That's
And
correct.
I've been asking, trying to figure this out, and trying to get an answer for how we can figure out. It came up, but I have to receive an answer, and I don't know why I'm paying more.
That was figured out when the community was first established.
My question is for Campbell.
Any member of this board can ask a question. The president doesn't have to necessarily answer the
But
question.
my question is for you, well, will you please answer?
I refuse to answer that question at this point. Thank you very much. Any other board members can feel free to answer that question.
What was your answer to my question?
My answer is the president of the board right now is refusing to answer the question to allow any other board member to answer that question on behalf of the board. That's my answer.
My question is for you.
Okay,
Answer your question.
this is enough. I'm
Okay.
terminating this. We need to move on to the other section of questions.
Okay.
Thank you, phone callers, for your questions. We appreciate that. We're now moving on to those watching on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you so much.
Can we do this?
Okay, so I guess the speaker again in front of everybody, and my answer is, my question is not answered, but you can ask,
Gloria?
might pay more than anybody else.
Gloria, forgive me, I'm about to mute you here.
There are several features you may want. Would you like your guests to be able to unmute their own lines by pressing *6? If yes, press 1. If no, press 2. All guests have been muted.
I'll guess.
You will now rejoin the meeting.
Can you guys hear us on the computer?
Yes.
Yes.
If
Okay.
someone logged in as WHO, you are live now with your questions and comments.
Oh, I guess that was the digit. Sorry. Anyways, I just wanted to kind of just bring something to the attention of the board as far as the plan for developer. I used to do land development, civil engineering, and we've actually done I've done a couple of these projects where an association dissolved, the developer came in, and then my firm would do the land development, basically, what mains need to come in, and grading and all that good stuff. The one thing that does worry me about this deal, or well, let me rephrase it, that we're trying to do is time. And the reason why I say that is because we're pretty in a bad shape right now financially. That's a given. And the one thing that worries me is you have two types of developers. One that would like to go ahead and get a piece of property fairly quickly, and they will try to, as much as they can, pay for, I don't want to say top dollar, but, basically make sure that everybody's happy, as in they get a fair amount of money and then they can still make a profit. The other type of developer is what I call like the long haul, where they see that the association is in financial strait and they're patient and they wait and wait and wait until the board finally dissolves because of, factors they can't control, like our financial situation here. And then they can just go ahead, and once this place is on an auction block, they can get it for a quarter of the value that we originally praised for. So I do have some concerns as far as the timeline, if we're going to go through with, finding a developer and how quickly we can get that done. I mean, I'm not saying we need a rush or anything. I mean, there's so many factors that account to that, but that is one of my concerns. If, a developer finds out of our financial situation and they play the long game, just be patient, wait, and then eventually, they'll get what they want, just being patient. So that is a concern of mine. I'm not sure what we can do about that, other than when we put together a package so we look enticing to a developer, let them know that how eager we are just to kind of move forward. But again, I know I'm thinking ahead of the situation right now. I mean, everyone has to agree. We all have to vote, but that's just a concern I'd like to bring up to the board.
He's concerned about, a developer sitting and waiting. And one thing we have going for us is this prime real estate. So
Very prime.
There's a lot of people that really want this piece of real estate because it's close to everything. We've got plenty of land. We've got 17 acres, and it can be developed, and you can put twice as many units on it than what we have right now. So we've already figured all that out. So the thing we have going is it's a great piece of real estate, and there's a lot of people that want it. So I don't foresee developers sitting there waiting for us to go under, because we are pretty financially stable right now. The only thing that we have that's not going for us is our buildings are not in perfect condition and need repair. So time is on our side. So I'm not too worried about that.
And thank you for your.
Yes, absolutely.
And please understand that we have guidance of First Service Residential, our management company, and our legal service. We're not making these decisions solely on our own. We consult the experts, and ultimately, again, the community makes the decision.
Correct.
All right.
Anybody else have a question, comment?
Do you have any additional questions or input?
No? Okay.
Very good.
About the webcast questions. Yeah, it was down there. When did we get to?
All right, we have Tyler online. Tyler,
Hello, are you on?
Yes, hi.
Hi, what can we help you with?
Oh, I was just finishing listening.
Okay, Tyler, do you have a question or a comment that we can address?
The only concern I kind of had was with these appraisals.
Okay.
If we are taking into effect if the units had been renovated.
No, not really. We're trying to be generic because we understand some people have sunk a lot of money into theirs and some people haven't done anything. So we're kind of trying to get a middle of the road appraisal. We know that we can't appease everybody, and I know, you know, like myself, I put $10,000 in mine, and I was going to put more in, so all of this has come about. But, you know, and I know, and I've talked to a couple people today that, have put like $30,000 into their unit. So we're trying to find a middle ground, that can please everybody.
Okay. Yeah, because I just purchased mine about 2 months ago, and I was never made aware of this project, or I would have never bought, unfortunately. So that's why I'm just trying to figure out what can be done. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tyler, thank you for joining us.
Anyone else?
Esther, you are live. Ready with your questions.
Yes. When they do the shrimp rack for the roofs, is everyone going to be done on the same day?
No, it's gonna take 2 to 3 weeks to get through the property. I was talking to him today about it.
Is it possible that when they get to our building that they let us know, like when, like approximate, as opposed to having everything, like moving everything indoors or whatever?
Yes, we will give you an exact schedule of when they're gonna be hitting buildings.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That was it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Esther. We have someone signed in as DN. You're live. Go ahead with your question.
Hello?
Hello, is somebody there?
No, I didn't have a question.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Great.
Well, thank you for tuning in.
All right. Solange, I hope I said your name right. Welcome to the broadcast.
Hello?
Hello. We can see you. You can see us.
Do you have a question?
Hello. We can see a lady with glasses on.
Solange, do you have a question?
No, okay, let's go. It's a nice picture behind you though.
Sherry, welcome.
Yes, hi. How can you have a question?
Hello.
Hi.
Oh,
No, I didn't.
Hi.
No question.
Hi.
Okay, I do have one question, but it's kind of off subject a little bit. Is there anything that we can do about the sound for the next meeting? Because it's very difficult to understand because of the acoustics of the room you're in.
I believe next meeting we're going to try a different format, since you brought that up, because I was going to ask people to let us know how this went. So, yeah, we're always trying to work to improve.
And is it the sound from the call or is it the sound from the streaming?
I think it's mostly the acoustics of the room you're in because it's so big and there's no carpeting on the floor or anything. It's sort of echoing.
Thank you. Our biggest challenge is the fact that we're using two separate technologies. Our live stream is fairly clear, but at the same time, for those who are uncomfortable with the internet and using either Facebook or YouTube, they're still using teleconferencing. So when someone calls in on the teleconferencing line, the sound that you are hearing from over our live stream has to come out of a telephone into the room and then back to the microphone on the camera. So the two are not truly compatible. And that's why we have hoped that our board has done a good job of repeating the questions for you, as well as the answers. We hope to conquer that in the future.
Robert, I could listen to your voice all night.
We'll go right ahead.
So besides complimenting me, did you have another question?
No.
thanks. So thank you for answering that.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Esther, you are live. Go right ahead with your questions and comments.
I already asked my question. I did want to say that I agree with the structure being taken down.
Thank you.
Even though it's not in my area, it is very dangerous. And when I bike sometimes, you can see it right from the street.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank
thank
you
you.
much for your support.
All right, bye.
Thank you for joining us, Esther.
Anybody else have any questions?
I
Comments?
have Baron on, but I believe he lost his connection. Baron, if you can still hear us or see us, you may want to try reconnecting. And I do have some questions that the board may want to address from our comments, and I will start from the beginning. Just go through them for you.
Comments? Let's see that's for.
We'll prep chat.
He's reading.
Okay.
Start over again, Robert.
It'd be easier for me to read if I can't hear Robert.
Robert.
Yes, I'm still here. Just a moment, please.
Can we have more or?
That's not Robert. Let's go back.
Please stand by.
Raise your hand up. So again, if you do have any comments, whether you are having problems hearing it, if there's any visual problems, please let us know. That feedback is very important and we can try to make some changes. We don't want to spend a lot of money. We could go out and spend thousands of dollars for recording equipment, but we hope to get back to the day when people are live are sitting with us to participate. It's also important when you make your comments to let us know whether you are on the teleconference, on the phone, or whether you're watching a streaming device. So if you can send
And
those.
Elizabeth is with us. Elizabeth, go right ahead with your questions and comments.
Hi.
Hello, can you?
We can hear you.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was the, it didn't show my username, but I was the one on Facebook asking most of the questions, but I appreciate your answers. About the shrink wrap, are you who's the contractor that you received a proposal from for 360?
It's Roofing Pioneers.
Okay, are they a roofing contractor or are they a GC?
They are a roofing contractor.
Okay.
Yeah, and a general contractor.
Did is the engineer that's working on the capital renewal involved in the shrink wrap project?
No.
Okay.
The engineer was hired. Yeah, the engineer was hired for us to do the scope of work and to get all the bids from the contractors and such. So he works for us.
Okay. I work in commercial construction. I appreciate hearing everyone's comments, but especially those from the developer and the architect, I think from earlier. I would absolutely suggest, and I can provide as many roofing, commercial roofers contact information as you guys would need. But I think it would be important to get, because it's urgent, we would need to get some more quotes. And I would be happy to find and do research on a comparable product to what was in the video. But I think we can do better than 360. And I know money is extremely important to allocate. But that's my suggestion. It's not really a question, I guess. So.
Okay, definitely, send your contact information to the board address, so we can further look into that, absolutely.
I will do that. Thank you, guys.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Did you have any further questions?
That's all. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
Great
you.
job. I know it's putting all this together. So you guys are doing a good job. I don't want you to hear just negative.
Thank you.
Keep going. Thumbs up.
Okay, so there was a question put up, yes, are we disclosing? Yes, when people are, asking for the estoppel, it is disclosed that the board is, currently discussing the possibility of, a capital, an assessment, a special assessment, or termination of the property. So yes, that is being disclosed. It should be both. So it says, do we need to tell our buyers, or does the HOA do it? You should actually disclose. So you should disclose everything that you know about the property. But the HOA also does it as well when they ask for the estoppel.
Let them know that the sellers could be held liable if they fail to disclose.
Right. So hopefully you heard that, let's see, if a member approves the capital improvement, when will the first assessment payment start? It depends on, so it's, if the members approve the capital improvement, when will the first assessment payment start? It depends on when the capital improvement project starts and when we have to start repaying the loan. So it's contingent on a lot of things right now. Will the mortgages be paid? Yes, will the mortgage be paid if we terminate? Yes, that's what our goal is, to have your mortgage paid and have money to walk away with, to start over. So that's what the goal is.
But we know that the lenders have to sign off on the termination as well, so.
Jennifer, could you repeat that again, please?
Pardon me? Oh.
Okay. Amen.
Oh.
So again, the question was, will the mortgage be paid? Jennifer wanted to add to Troy's, which is an important part that
Yeah.
Royal also verified.
Should the community vote to terminate, it's important for the residents to understand that their lenders must also sign off on the termination. So their lenders must consent in addition to the unit owner's consent. So the hope would be that the mortgage is paid off at termination.
The final motion about the maps, is it required exercise of walkway? So the question was, the final motion about the mask, is it required when exercising on the walkway? When I'm out exercising, walking around, I don't wear my mask. I wear it when I'm in public, when I'm in the store, when I'm at the gas station, when I'm out there, but if I'm exercising, if I'm walking around, getting my steps in, no, I do not wear my mask.
That wasn't voting.
It is still being discussed, it is not necessarily disclosable. You want to handle that one?
Actually, yes, we are required to disclose that there may be the suggestion of a special assessment, that the community is talking about it. So that part of it must be disclosed. As a seller, you are asked those kinds of questions in your seller's disclosure if you sell your property. As an association, we are asked that question. And although we could strictly in a black and white way say, yes, there is a special assessment, or no, there is no special assessment, but because there is the suggestion of a special assessment, you must disclose that. And in fact, you could be held liable if you don't.
Can you please clarify the scope that the previous will perform and what the board will do with that information? So it says, can you please clarify the scope that the appraisers will perform and what the board will do with that information? So we have two different appraisers. We have one for the home, the actual condos themselves, and one for the property. So the property appraiser is to find out the actual worth of our land. So what the buildings sit on, the land, the actual land. We need to know what that appraises for. So that's a good starting point for a developer as far as price point. The other one is for the individual units, and that is for fair market value. So if we were to terminate, what is the fair market value of your unit? And that's what those two are for. So those are pretty much to figure out a ballpark figure of where are we and what do we need to terminate with everybody having their mortgage paid and walk away with some money to start over somewhere else. So that's what all that information is for.
And let's emphasize that it's not every unit, it's every unit type. So we're only having appraisals done for the different types of units. How many unit types are we doing? 10. 10. So there'll be 10 appraisals for those different unit types.
Correct.
In no way are we suggesting that we are going to appraise every
160
unit. That would be, and that doesn't help with what we're trying to find out.
Is it possible to have more than one meeting per month in light of our current situation? Possibly after we could think about it, after the 30th meeting, but we're still trying to get information and it's really not feasible. I mean, we're gonna put out notices in the emails, letting you know all the information that we're getting. But after the 30th, I mean, we can definitely discuss it because the 30th will be a major, 30th of July will be a major meeting that everybody wants to attend because a lot of information there is going to be given out. Perhaps it would be a good idea to refer people to the letter, which came in the mail, posted in questions, answers, or whatever. Yes.
It is a comment, but it's a good comment. It was a very important letter that was not only sent out electronically, but also by US mail. And we did that to make sure that everyone got that letter. If for some reason you didn't, please contact Jennifer. She will send it to you. And that basically is the premise of what we have found and what the community will have to decide as we put all the pieces of the puzzle together. So good comment. That letter is.
It's a good basis. Also, it's important to remember that as we learn new things, some of the information that we provided initially in the letter becomes obsolete. For example, our initial idea for estimating a value of the community based on purchase price plus 30 will become obsolete once we know more from the appraisals. So obviously, it'll be time to publish a new letter with updated information over the coming weeks for the community.
Correct. So briefly, if not, we should wrap up. Okay, we've already had this one that says do all the roof leak. If not, why are we shrink wrapping all of those? 18 out of the 21 buildings do leak, so that means there's 3 buildings that don't leak. And it's more cost effective to do the whole thing now than to wait and have 1, 2, or maybe those 3 buildings start leaking sometime this year, and then have them come back out and do those buildings. So it's just easier to do the whole thing at once. It's more cost effective than to have them keep coming out as roofs start leaking again.
It's also being proactive to heading off the situation before you, instead of being reactive to it.
Right. I don't understand that question. However, it will not be in place until the community votes one way or another for the community as a whole.
What in place?
So the shrink wrap is totally different than the capital improvement project. So the shrink wrapping we're going to go ahead and do because we want to make sure everybody is covered and water-free for at least the next 2 years.
And we hold on to our insurance.
Correct.
Well, Teresa, did that answer your?
I think we do need to brush this timeline. This was not working on that sheet. Yeah, we should do it as quickly as possible. Yes. Okay, so he's talking about a timeline, this person. We are going as fast as we can. The process isn't a very easy one. We have a lot of moving pieces that need to be taken into consideration. We have bids to get. We have appraisals that have happened. Once all that stuff's done, we need to go to our financial people and take care of how much it's actually going to cost us and what the final figures are. So there's a lot of things that that go into trying to make this decision. So we are trying to get all of the information that we possibly can so everybody can make an educated decision.
Please consider an approved equal shrink wrap project. We will pay high dollar for a proprietary product when we could be several comparable alternatives.
Order. We do up to sell out, how quickly we have to move out. Oh, okay, well, we have no clue. It says if we did opt to sell out, how quickly would we have to move out? It all depends on when we terminate, when we record that termination, and how long it takes for all the paperwork to go through, all of the legal paperwork to be done, and how soon the developer wants to come in. So it could take between, from what the lawyer said, it could take between 90 and 180 days. So you're looking at 3 to 6 months after we record everything to terminate. So.
That was the last question. I could look.
Oh, cool. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for your questions. Great questions.
Any comments?
Yes.
If you have any more questions or comments, please make sure to email us at theboard@cypresswoodsinc.com or at cwpm@cypresswoodsinc.com. We appreciate all your feedback and all your questions.
Okay.